All right, we're going to get started for today's gentle restorative. And thank you for helping me to determine we're just going to be more restorative today. So we're just going to take it easy. We just had this full moon. Full moons can make us kind of restless in our nature. And this will be a good time just to slow and calm down. I didn't have too much of a Dharma theme for my classes today, but I do have something that I want to speak about. And then you can also be kind of contemplative on this matter and how it affects you and how it concerns you as an individual. But last week, I was having a time with Zoom, actually. I've been using this platform since COVID hit in 2020, and I've never had an issue with it. And I just pay like, I don't know, around $200 just to have access to these services per year, which is not that bad considering I've been using it so much. But last month, they kept sending me all these threatening emails saying I was using too much of their iCloud storage because I let the classes build up. And then I eventually, months later, put them onto another platform. Well, I kept getting these threatening messages. I'm like, okay, I'll take the classes off. And so I started working on it, but then they sent me an email saying, hey, you can upgrade. And it was very deceiving because it said 250/year, which to me, when I'm reading that, looks like, oh, it's $250 a year just to upgrade to more of this business model. And it had a bunch of bells and whistles that I don't need. We just have a handful of people doing this. And this was catering to like 300 people, but yet the cloud storage was like triple, right? So I'm thinking, an extra $50 a year, I'll go ahead and upgrade, not knowing that it was deceiving and it was actually $250 a month. So I noticing my bank account kept getting less and less. And I realized not only when I registered did they take like $200 immediately, but they also took out another $250 like 2 weeks later. And then when I called them to say, hey, I don't need all this and I can't afford this, instead of refunding me, they actually charged me again. And it was one of those things where I kept calling and I couldn't get the person to really understand what I was saying. And they're showing in their system they refunded, but they really charged me again. And it was all this back and forth. And basically why I'm saying all this is the full moon that we just had, and any full moon that we have, is a culmination. It's a light. It's spiritually speaking supposed to shine a light on something that's happening in your life, something that may be, kind of surfacing in your heart, something that's showing up in conversations or experiences, or even something that is kind of maybe regurgitating mind, or just, showing up in the mind and the psyche. And honestly, like yesterday, I was like, man, I just scaled through this full moon. It didn't affect me. I was able to sleep. You know, I wasn't moody, nothing triggered me. Like I was good. But then this morning on the way to teach my yoga class at the studio, it dawned on me, like through those conversations I was having with Zoom and with Rob because of what I was going through with that ordeal, I did catch myself in the moment, but I reflected on it again this morning. What I was saying over and over again was, I'm just a yoga teacher. I'm just a yoga teacher. I'm just a yoga teacher. I don't need 300 people to join me online. I'm just a yoga teacher. I can't afford this. I'm just a yoga teacher. I don't need this big business package. I'm just a yoga teacher. And you deceived me with this, with that email. And I realized this morning, it's like, wow, like sometimes we don't think about the fact that even though we may value ourselves or we may value our work and we may love what we do, sometimes we get caught up in the narrative of the big collective of society, right? Because we may think, well, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, or I'm not this or that, that holds like a lot of importance. And this morning I realized, like, why was I saying I'm just a? Because I love what I do. And I feel like it is very valuable, even though my bank account may not be, as high as someone else's because of the work that I do. So, anyway, I want you to think about, or, first of all, maybe be contemplative mainly about what's been highlighted for you. Maybe it was something that came out of your mouth. Maybe it was, something that's kind of rolling over in your mind. And ask yourself, is that true? And why am I being prone to say certain things because of society standards when that's not actually what I align with? And so I know we're all human and these things happen, but think about maybe how this could apply to you, and maybe how you may be saying, well, I'm just this or I'm just that. And is that true? And is that what you're really aligning with? And probably not. You know, I know you guys aren't looking at me going, oh, she's just a yoga teacher, because you keep showing up. So I know you see value in it. So let's just kind of go inside with this restorative yoga. This is the best way to drop in and just notice those thoughts that stream. Notice what you give life to. Notice if you need to push it out or send it away, or maybe, analyze it a little bit, or maybe completely let it go and just find yourself in the peace and serenity that can show up in the space between your thoughts, in the recesses of your mind, when you drop deep down into your heart. And let's just go there and replenish. So since we're doing all restorative, let's have all the props, at least a blanket, blocks, bolster, and then maybe an eye pillow or towel as well. Okay. Let's go ahead and begin setting up a slide with the 2 blocks, with the bolster on top like this. We'll scoot towards it, send our legs up. Maybe take the blanket under head like a pillow. Maybe creating some heaviness over the belly and hips, or covering your whole body if you know you're gonna get chilled. And then the eyes last. And then, of course, discover where your hands want to be placed. What angle of the arms if the hands are resting on the floor? Then once you determine that best position and shape to be in, close the eyes or cover the eyes and begin some mindful breath work. Breathing in, out through the nose, unless you need to breathe through your mouth. Letting your belly balloon on the inhale. And drop back in on the exhale. Continue these deep diaphragmatic breaths and take 7 more. Once you count and arrive to 7, feel free to let the breath become more organic. The feet are propped up, so it's good for circulation. Helps and aids in calming the mind and nervous system. And this is where we'll continue to drop in to look, listen, and feel within. To monitor, to rephrase, to analyze, or to let our thoughts go, dependent upon each one. If you continue to let go of the thoughts, you'll find that you'll eventually become a little mindless, meaning less thoughts are stirring. And it can provide you that peace and serenity that you need. So if you find yourself you're becoming too entertained by what's happening in the mind, come back to controlling the breath until it simmers back down. Notice the response that your mind and body has had in this pose. Hopefully you can relate to the affirmation. Say it quietly to yourself. New peace, new consciousness is flooding down and through my being. New peace, new consciousness is flooding down and through my being. All right, let's go ahead. If the blanket is on top, take it away. Same with the towel or eye bag. And hug the knees in. Holding up Uttanasana. Take 3 big, bold breaths, and feel free to do a cleansing breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Twice more. On this exhale, separate your knees. And then hold for 3 diaphragmatic breaths. Thighs are wide apart. Letting the belly fill up and expand as you breathe in. Deflate and retract as you breathe out. Then go ahead and roll over to one side. Push down into that hand in front of your chest to come up. So, since we have one in our group that's dealing with some respiratory stuff, sometimes being flat on the back can make us potentially cough. I have found if that happens, the slide this way with our back on it can be helpful for preventing coughs. So let's turn the body around. And here, you may want to roll the blanket under your knees. I'm going to open it up to cover my body, which you could also do. And since you're practicing from home, remember we all have different measurements. You do want your low back padded by the bolster, but we all have different lengths with our arms and torsos. And I have discovered, sometimes we need to roll up another blanket or pad it with a pillow so that we have kind of like arm rest here. My length of arms works great, so it doesn't bother me. And sometimes it could be more or less about the shoulders and maybe giving the shoulders more of a break here versus descending down. So just, grab more items if you need it. And then we'll take the eye bag or towel if you have it back over the eyes. We're going to start each pose taking 7 yogic breaths. After the 7 breaths, you can let the control subside. And you can choose to stay contemplative and mindful. Or if your mind is already in that calm, serene space, you can drop into that state of mindlessness, which basically means less provoked or entertained by thoughts. again, an affirmation. And roll it over in your mind. Energetic movement or unmoving peace. The choice is mine alone. Energetic movement or unmoving peace. The choice is mine alone. And just start to point your toes, flex your ankles. And do that a couple more rounds, pointing on the in-breath, flexing the ankles on the out-breath. Feel that energization running up through the legs. And then float your hands up, rotate your wrists. 3 times one way, 3 times the other. Take the towel or eye bag away. Turn your palms down, peel the head up, and slowly rise. So the next one I'm going to put you in, I really want you to have a choice, yes, but it's Stonehenge, so you can go ahead and start to set up. Now, I've seen people make the mistake of making this too wide. And if that happens when you put your legs up, that bows and it may want to collapse or feel like it's going to collapse. So make sure the blocks are pretty close together, not all the way, a few inches, so it's more stable. Now, before you get into it, since we do have someone dealing with some respiratory stuff, a number of years ago, I had bronchitis. And when you're laying flat, like I said earlier, it can make you start to cough. And I was coughing all through the night. I was having such a coughing fit, I couldn't breathe. And I landed in the bathroom in child's pose. And the coughing stopped. So if you start to cough on your back today or any other day, know that you can take child's pose instead of this one. Because what we're doing, really, it's flexing from the hips. And you would be doing that in both of the poses. Again, blanket for under your head, across your belly for some weight, or maybe over your body for warmth. Settling in, taking 7 deep breaths. And then eventually letting the breath go. Even allowing yourself to let go of anything coming in to the sensory organs. Draw away from what's happening externally. Hone in on what's happening internally. That you can rest and reset your system. Affirming mentally within. Now release and relax from all outer involvements into my own inner haven peace. Now release and relax away from all outer involvements into my own inner haven of peace. Since the alternative is child's pose, and regardless of which one you're doing, we're going to go ahead and begin to roll away to one side. And we're going to line up for one more pose today. So again, if you are in that mode of coughing, you may want to do the slide and then bring toss pillows under the knees for the next one. But if you can be in the back bend, lay the bolster down like this. We're going to go to reclined butterfly. Soles of the feet together, blocks underneath the knees. Blanket can cover you up. And of course, you're welcome to shield your eyes. Take your time getting set up and settled. We'll stick with our plan of starting each pose with 7 full breaths. This can be part of your meditation. It's really helpful integrating mind, body, and spirit, bringing in that feeling of connection, acceptance, and unification. And of course, after the seventh breath, you can just simply observe the breath. Feeling safe and secure. affirming mentally within. Secure in myself, I accept who I am. Secure in myself, I accept who I am. Let's go ahead and move the blocks to the sides. Lift the knees up towards the sky. And just rock the knees side to side. Do that about 3 times to each side. Getting our twist in. Before rolling away, coming up. If you're still awake, maybe wrapping up in your blankets. Come to sit, hands to prayer. Om, Om, Om. Enlightening bows humbly and respectfully to you. Namaste.